Endless Dungeon is a combination of tower defense and twin-stick shooter genres. If you enjoy these genres, it promises an exciting experience worth trying. The story is simple. Along with other survivors, you are trapped in a space station that is overrun by monsters. The goal is to reach the end of the station and shut down the systems, allowing the survivors to escape. Can you do that? Players assume the role of one of the survivors resting in the space station saloon. You can choose between different characters. In the beginning, the selection of characters is limited, but as the game progresses and specific objectives are accomplished, additional characters become accessible. The game is played from a top-down perspective, and players must guide a team of 3 survivors through a series of procedurally generated levels where you have to protect yourself and the crystal bot. Players can also build and upgrade turrets and upgrade survivors with new abilities and weapons. It's worth mentioning that Endless Dungeon can be played with friends, making the game easier and more enjoyable. But if your friends aren't up for it, you can still play alone. However, your companions will tag along. You can give them commands if you wish, like instructing them to defend a certain point while you go elsewhere. However, they are not very intelligent, so don't expect too much. For example, in the case of a companion falling, they won't even help a friend get back up. Endless Dungeon is challenging, and players will need to use strategy and tactics to survive. They must carefully place their turrets and survivors to create a strong defense, and they must also be prepared to adapt their strategy as the enemies become more powerful. Opening doors in the space station provides resources like science, industry, and food, essential for building and upgrading turrets. This makes it easier to withstand future monster waves and protect the crystal bot that helps open doors and move through the space station. Oh, I almost forgot, the game is also a roguelike, meaning that upon death all of your collected items are lost and you are returned to the saloon, where you must begin your journey anew from a different starting point, encountering new challenges and surprises. Of course, there are also bosses in the game, and some of them can be quite annoying compared to others. If any of the bosses seem too annoying for you, then you can avoid it. You can choose the boss you want to fight with. For that, just choose other areas next time you go through the floor. Endless Dungeon's simplified RPG elements and uninspired permanent unlocks might disappoint those seeking the depth found in other similar games. The lack of radical perks and hero changes could dampen the enthusiasm of players looking for a more varied experience. Despite that, it can be a pleasant pastime to play with friends for a while. The biggest downside of Endless Dungeon is that the game is still broken. Imagine a situation where you have almost reached the end, everything is perfect, you are ready for the final challenge, you have everything you need to finish the game, and then the crystal bot gets stuck behind something invisible and starts stomping back and forth in one place as a relentless stream of enemies rushes towards you. Sometimes it helps to relocate the bot to some previous point and begin a new wave from there, or to open different doors that you had previously intended to keep closed, thus disrupting the entire meticulously crafted strategy. However, this is not always a viable solution, as there are instances where there is only one path left, but the bot becomes immobilized somewhere along the way and starts stomping back and forth. If you have invested hours in this run and it was the impeccable execution where everything was perfect, such a bug ruins any further game enjoyment, because after all those hours you have to start over again, and you are not at all sure that you will not run into the same error again. It is very likely that this will happen again. waited for 2 months for the developer to address this bug, but still nothing. As a result, I have finally reached my breaking point. Due to this bug, this game will be left unfinished this time and will significantly affect the review score. Endless Dungeon is a fun game that can be enjoyed for a while, but it lacks the depth to keep players engaged for long. The co-op mode is a lot of fun, but the single player mode is a bit of a slog. The variety of enemies and bosses is good, but the bonuses and upgrades are boring and don't add much to the game. The biggest problem with Endless Dungeon is the buggy crystal bot. This can be a real pain, especially if it happens during a run that you've been working on for hours. Because of this, I cannot recommend this game to anyone until this game is fixed. I am seriously done with this shit. This game is unplayable. I've been experiencing that same bug with every run, and 2 months later it's still not fixed. Endless Dungeon can be an amazing game, but it's just not playable in its current state. Amplitude Studios should have taken the time to test it before release. I'm so disappointed. I can't recommend it to anyone. I give it a 2 out of 5 stars.
Wow.